If you look at the number of students who are going abroad every year, that's actually increasing. Last year alone, more than 4.5 lakh students went abroad to study in foreign universities. But however, there are more than maybe double or triple of that number who also wish to go to study in a foreign university, but then their financial situation may not permit them, or their family situation may not permit them.
The National Education Policy 2020 envisions facilitating the top universities in the world to operate within the country. In January 2023, the University Grants Commission (UGC) released a draft regulation on the setting up and operation of campuses of foreign higher educational institutions in India. This draft talked about setting up a legislative framework to provide interested foreign universities with special dispensation regarding regulatory, governance, and content norms on par with other autonomous institutions of India. 3 months since the draft regulations were released, the development around foreign varsities in India has already gained momentum, wherein 2 Australian universities have announced to set up campuses at Gujarat International Finance Tech City, which is also known as GIFT City. We asked UGC Chairman Professor M. Jagdesh Kumar about the progress of India's communication with foreign universities who may be interested in setting up their campuses in India.
We are already in touch with several ambassadors of these foreign countries to establish their campuses in our country. And we will also be conducting educational summits during this year as a platform to promote various initiatives that UGC has taken for the internationalization of higher education in India. And we will be inviting the delegates of G20 also to visit the higher educational institutions. But however, when we talk about internationalization of higher education in India among these G20 countries, there are a couple of things that I would like to mention. One, of course, is our recent regulations, draft regulations that we have issued on establishing the campuses in India. But there is also another regulation that we have issued in May 2022, and this is on starting twinning joint and dual degree programs. So as part of twinning programs, students can go abroad and stay in the foreign institution for about a semester or two and come back. And when they come back, the credits that they have earned in these foreign institutions can be transferred to the Indian institutions for the award of degrees in India as part of the award of degrees in India. And many institutions, higher educational institutions from the foreign countries have shown interest in this twinning program, because often what happens is, because of the cost associated with sending our students for an entire degree to a foreign country, if you send a student for a semester or two, the cost will be manageable for many families. Therefore, it's a kind of win-win situation both for our Indian students and also the foreign institutions. So this is something that we are going to explore with the G20 countries. But when we talk about internationalization of our higher education, we also want to internationalize our domestic education. And UGC is working on preparing a regulation which will enable our top-class Indian institutions to go abroad and set up their campuses. So we are working on multiple fronts to encourage internationalization of our higher education. But there is one more thing that I would like to inform you. Recently, UGC has also increased the number of seats in the UG and PG programs for international students. We have told the higher educational institutions that they can create up to 25% over and above their original intake in any UG and PG program. They can create 25% additional supernumerary positions to admit the international students in their colleges and institutions. And in the recent PhD regulations, we have also said that over and above the number of students that UGC permits our Indian faculty members to admit, they can also take each faculty member, irrespective of whether she is an assistant professor, associate, or a professor. Each faculty member can also take 2 international PhD students as a supernumerary quota. So you can see that we have introduced several measures to internationalize our higher education. And these G20 events that are taking place in India are a good opportunity for us to showcase these opportunities to them.
Government's decision to bring foreign varsities to India has witnessed wide-ranging speculations from both welcoming and disapproving sections on the grounds of autonomy, finances, and the fate of Indian institutions that provide higher education. Most have questioned if foreign universities even want to set up their campuses in India. UGC chairman explained to us various modalities regarding foreign campuses in India, from fee to bureaucratic process involved for the same.
If you look at the number of students who are going abroad every year, that's actually increasing. Last year alone, more than 4.5 lakh students went abroad to study in foreign universities. But however, there are more than maybe double or triple of that number who also wish to go to study in a foreign university, but then their financial situation may not permit them, or their family situation may not permit them. And that's the reason why we want the international universities to come and set up their campuses here. It is definitely not to reduce or reverse the outflow of our students. They will continue to go for the kind of experience they will gain by living in a different country, in a different work environment, in a different cultural setup. And ours is a democratic country, and people will have those choices to go abroad. But we are looking at the other set of students who are also large in number, who wish to stay in India but access education from an international university. So the basic idea of internationalization of our higher education is to provide more freedom, flexibility, and additional choices to our students. And that's the reason why we want to invite these educational institutions here. Now, having said that, why are these foreign universities showing their interest to come to India? A recent survey shows that nearly the top 200 global universities have considered India as an ideal destination to come. Why do they want to come? Because India has a huge human capital. Our median age is 27.9 years. And in our higher educational our educational system is one of the largest in the world. We have close to 300 million students from class 1 to PhD level, and about 40 million students in our higher education. And this number is going to double and triple in the coming years. So they want to tap this human potential because they are also looking for highly motivated, aspirational, talented students in their educational system. And India can supply that. So when these campuses come here, they will also look at the paying capability of these students. Imagine for a moment that these institutions, they keep their tuition fees exorbitantly high. Then they will not be able to attract many Indian students, and it may not be sustainable for them to have a campus in India. So the other solution, therefore, is to keep these tuition fees at a moderate level so that they can attract large number of students into their campuses. And that is a sustainable model. So therefore, my belief is that when these institutions will come, they will assess the paying capability of the students and then self-regulate the tuition fees so that it becomes affordable to a large cross-section of our students. But you will still have some students, they may not be able to afford even these moderated tuition fees. And that's the reason why in our regulations we have introduced a clause which says that using an assessment process, need-based partial and full scholarships may be given from the resources of the university itself. And this is a global practice. Many universities have this kind of scholarships, and that will take care of the needs of at least some students who come from the socio-economically backward sections of our country. I'm sure when these campuses come to India, it will cater to the needs of those who can pay these moderately high tuition fees, and also the needs of those who cannot pay such fees.
Would foreign universities coming to India make our education system more fluid, or will it create more complex education system?
There is absolutely no doubt that India has some of the best institutions of the world. You can see that our alumni who pass out from our institutions, they are leading big companies in the world. They are top professors in global universities. So in every domain, you see our Indians shining across the globe. And often they attribute this to the kind of education that they have received in their school and college in India. But having said that, we also have the challenge of the scale because we have millions of students. And how do you address the aspirations of those students? One way, of course, is we continue to build our physical infrastructure, open more colleges, more universities, but we can do it only at a certain pace that is physically possible. We cannot wait to provide the higher educational facilities to them by simply increasing our physical infrastructure and improving the standards of our institutions. That we will continue to do that. At the same time, parallelly, we need to provide another path to our students, and that's the reason why we want to bring in the foreign educational institutions into India. There is another thing that is happening. That is the kind of competition that we are creating within India among our educational institutions. In 2016, we started the NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework, which has become extremely popular, and the institutions are competing with each other to improve themselves. Now, when the foreign institutions will come, this competition will further increase. Ultimately, in the field of education, only those institutions which will provide high quality education at an affordable cost will ultimately survive. So therefore, when these foreign institutions will come here, the other institutions have to pull up and improve themselves to maintain parity with the other better institutions. The second thing that will happen is the possible collaborations that can take place between our own Indian institutions and the foreign institutions located in India. And these researchers from these institutions can collaboratively work on joint projects, solve some of the problems that are faced by human societies, because today no individual can find solutions to the bigger global problems that we have. We have to collectively work. We have to form teams from diverse disciplines and work together. And this opportunity will become a possibility for the Indian institutions and foreign institutions when they come here. So when these universities come to India to set up their campuses, I have given few examples. Of course, there are various other possibilities. The foreign university can establish a company in India, just as any other companies are establishing, multinational companies, or they can function under what is known as Limited Liability Act, or they can work together with other Indian entity. It could be an Indian educational institution or some other organization. They can have a partnership with them, or they can have a branch office in India. So there are multiple ways in which these foreign universities can establish the campuses here. So when they come here, either let's say they come here as a company, just as any other company acquires a building or land to construct their infrastructure, they can do in the similar way. There is going to be a complete freedom for them to choose the place or the city where they are going to establish their campus. And the processes, the bureaucratic processes are going to be very, very minimum. So they should have no problem at all in setting up their campuses here. Also, in the last budget on 1st February 2022, our foreign minister also made a mention in the budget speech about the importance of foreign direct investment in India. So these institutions can actually invest in India to build their campuses. We have also introduced a clause in our regulations that these institutions can also repatriate their revenues, the revenues that they generate in India. And this is an important clause which will encourage many institutions to come and set up their campuses here.
India is taking huge strides towards the internationalization of education within the country, and this is also among the key focus areas during India's G20 presidency. Setting up of foreign universities in India is definitely a step towards that. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned with PBNS for more updates.